Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In our last episode, we explored Chapter 6 of Handbook of Abhidhamma Studies, Volume 2, where we analyzed karma and results. We saw how volition functions as a condition, how different types of karma produce different results, and how karma interacts with other conditions to shape mind and matter. Today we move into Chapter 7, Jhāna and Path Consciousness in conditional terms. Jhāna refers to meditative absorptions, higher states of concentration where the mind becomes unified, calm, and radiant. Path consciousness refers to the supramundane states that directly realize Nibbana. In this chapter, we'll revisit the jhana factors, explaining how they condition concentration and insight. We'll see how supramundane path consciousness arises, conditioned by wisdom and concentration, and we'll outline how each of the four paths, stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahant, is conditioned by practice. So, if you've ever wondered, how does deep meditation lead to enlightenment? How do jhana factors condition insight? How are the four paths attained? This chapter will guide us. Jhana is characterized by five mental factors. 1. Applied thought, vitakka, directing the mind to the object. 2. Sustained thought, vikara, keeping the mind on the object. 3. Rapture, piti, joy and delight in meditation. 4. Happiness, sukha, calm and contentment. 5. One-pointedness, ekaggata, deep concentration, unity of mind. In the first jhana, all five factors are present. As the meditator progresses, applied and sustained thought drop away, leaving rapture, happiness, and one-pointedness. In higher jhanas, even rapture and happiness fade, leaving pure equanimity and one-pointedness. These factors condition concentration. Applied and sustained thought stabilize the mind. Rapture and happiness energize it. One-pointedness unifies it. Together, they condition deep absorption. This shows how jhana factors function as conditions. They shape the quality of concentration and prepare the mind for insight. Jhana is not just concentration, it is a condition for insight. When the mind is absorbed, it becomes stable and clear. This stability allows insight to penetrate reality. For example, in meditation, one-pointedness conditions mindfulness, rapture and happiness condition energy, applied and sustained thought condition clarity. Together, they condition insight into impermanence, suffering, and non-self. This shows the conditional role of jhana. It purifies the mind, stabilizes concentration, and conditions insight. So jhana is not the final goal. It is a powerful condition for the arising of wisdom. Beyond jhana lies supramundane path consciousness. This is the consciousness that directly realizes Nibbana. It is called supramundane because it transcends the ordinary world of conditioned phenomena. Path consciousness arises conditioned by wisdom and concentration. Wisdom penetrates impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Concentration stabilizes the mind. Together they condition the arising of path consciousness. For example, when a meditator sees impermanence clearly, wisdom conditions insight. When the mind is stable, concentration conditions clarity. Together they condition path consciousness. This shows that path consciousness is not random. It arises due to conditions, wisdom and concentration cultivated through practice. The Abhidhamma outlines four stages of enlightenment, each with a path and fruit. 1. Stream entry, sotapanna, O path, cuts off wrong view and doubt. O fruit, never reborn in lower realms, destined for liberation. 2. Once returner, sakadagam, O path, weakens greed and hatred. O fruit, will be reborn only once more in the human realm before liberation. 3. Non-returner, anagam, O path, cuts off sensual desire and ill will. O fruit, reborn in higher realms, never returns to the human realm. 4. Arahant, O path, cuts off all defilements. O fruit, complete liberation, nibbana without residue at death. Each stage is conditioned by practice. Stream entry is conditioned by faith and wisdom. Once returning is conditioned by concentration and effort. Non-returning is conditioned by detachment and equanimity. Arahantship is conditioned by complete purification. This shows the conditional nature of enlightenment. Each path arises due to conditions cultivated in practice. Practice is the condition for both jhana and path consciousness. Without practice, jhana does not arise. Without practice, path consciousness does not arise. For example, mindfulness conditions concentration. Concentration conditions jhana. Jhana conditions insight. Insight conditions path consciousness. This change shows the conditional nature of liberation. It is not a gift, it is not random, it arises due to practice. So, practice is the condition. By cultivating mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, we condition the arising of jhana and path consciousness. How does this help us in practice? When we meditate, we can observe jhana factors as conditioning forces. We can notice how applied thought directs the mind, how sustained thought stabilizes it, how rapture energizes it, how happiness calms it, how one-pointedness unifies it. We can also reflect on how wisdom and concentration condition path consciousness. We can see how practice conditions the four paths. This observation deepens insight. It helps us see conditionality in meditation. It inspires us to cultivate mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom diligently. So, the study of jhana and path consciousness in conditional terms is not just theory, it is a practical guide to liberation. Some critics say jhana is unnecessary. They argue that insight alone is enough. But the Buddha emphasized the importance of concentration. Jhana stabilizes the mind, making insight sharper. Others misunderstand path consciousness as mystical, but it is simply the mind realizing impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So while details may be complex, the essence is simple. Concentration conditions insight, and insight conditions liberation. So to conclude, Chapter 7 of Volume 2 revisits jhana and path consciousness in conditional terms. We've learned how jhana factors condition concentration and insight. We've seen how supramundane path consciousness arises conditioned by wisdom and concentration. And we've outlined how each of the four paths, stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahant, is conditioned by practice. Most importantly, we've seen how this helps us in practice. By cultivating mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, we condition the arising of jhana and path consciousness, moving step by step toward liberation. Thank you so much for joining me in this deep dive into Chapter 7 of Handbook of Abhidhamma Studies, Volume 2. We've journeyed through jhana factors, supramundane path consciousness, and the four paths of enlightenment, seeing how they are conditioned by practice. If you found this exploration helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who might be interested in Buddhist philosophy and meditation. In our next episode, we'll move into Chapter 8, where we explore Nibbana and conditionality, seeing how the unconditioned reality contrasts with conditioned phenomena, and how liberation is realized. Until then, may you be well, may you be peaceful, and may you continue your journey into wisdom.